Dear parents, teachers, and friends, children are very talented and creative, but sometimes they are not able to do well in their life and studies. There can be many reasons for this. One among the reasons could be fear. So let us see how the fear can affect the children and have effect in their life. And let us always be supportive to overcome the fear to get the best from them. Students, now let us see our fears and how to overcome them.
Hello everyone. Today we're going to discuss on a very important topic, fear. So in this topic, we're going to be dealing with fear in students and the ways to overcome those fears. Fear is an unpleasant feeling triggered in a person by the perception of danger. It can either be real or imaginary. Fear is a common emotion that every individual deals with on a daily basis. For instance, we have fear over people, places, things, and even certain dreadful situations. In all seriousness, if fear is not dealt carefully and in a proper manner, it could become a stumbling block for our growth in life. Though there are numerous fears in a student's life, such as fear of darkness, fear of ghosts, fear of death, and a lot more other fears. Therefore, we shall discuss on some of the dominant fears in a student's life which becomes detrimental to their growth in life. These are some of the dominant fears in a student's life. The first one, fear of people. The second one, fear of failures. The third one, fear of exams. The fourth, fear to exhibit talents. And the fifth, fear of sickness, such as the deadly pandemic like COVID-19 we are facing as of now. So now let's discuss about the first type of fear, fear of people. The fear of people is basically caused by the relationship with your family members, relatives, friends, society, etc. In the early phase of childhood, when the child begins to relate with others, and if they feel unaccepted or ill-treated, the child will start to develop a negative effect on people in the subconscious level, which in turn will lead to hampering of their growth. Those students with this kind of fear will find it very difficult to relate with others. They may avoid situations and circumstances when there is a need to socialize with the society. Consequently, what happens is they will start to develop fear in them over their parents, siblings, peers, teachers, well-wishers, and also strangers. Therefore, students with this sort of fear of avoiding people will not easily relate with individuals in a healthy and courteous way. So now let's discuss about the second type of fear, fear of failures. The fear of failures can start to develop from a very early age in the child. For instance, when a child engages in an act and is criticized for the same act in a negative manner, and even punished for that act, the child gets affected by that negative comment or the criticism received for that particular act. The child then undergoes shame and begins to feel very low in self-esteem and also develops an inferiority complex as a result. Hence, the child will cease to try doing anything new or even the old things the child used to do before, due to the fear of the past experiences and the negative notion engraved in the subconscious level. So in this case, even if the child is willing and has the capability to do great wonders in life, they will even not try to attempt or to do something constructive because of the fear that has been developed due to the negative impacts of their past. Now let's discuss about the fear of exams. The fear of exams in students occur during the higher level of academics. When students start with their schooling, especially in the early stages, and if the performance in the academics isn't met as expected by their parents, they would be punished and criticized by their parents, family members, teachers, friends, and others. Therefore, which will be totally unhelpful and will impact the child. Therefore, the child will develop a negative impression in the mind, and the attitude towards life changes and will affect them in a vicious way. This will have a bad impact in the student's life, which will eventually start to develop a fear in them over exams. Even though there are many students who are good at studies, they cannot do well in their exams if they would have had a harmful or negative experience in their past. Let's move on to the fear to exhibit talents. Though there are many students who are talented in singing, dancing, drawing, communicating, sports, etc., they wouldn't express their talents because of their past and bad experiences which would have hurt them deeply. Perhaps in their childhood, there would have been someone who would have commented about their talent in a negative way and made fun of them amidst others, and also would have not encouraged them but rather would have called them out with funny nicknames for the talents they portrayed after a talent show. These hurtful, wounded memories would make them to hide their special abilities to perform and to be the best, respectively, which will make them unproductive and feel worthless about themselves, though they possess great hidden talents within them. These students who are highly talented don't showcase their talents because of the embarrassments and wounds they experienced in their past, and bury their talents because of few negative, unforgettable moments of their life. Now, let's discuss on the topic fear of sickness. If a student looks at various people suffering and who are in their deathbeds due to major sicknesses like dengue, cancer, and at present the pandemic, that is the COVID-19, they can start to develop a fear in them and could cause a bad impact over the student's life. Basically, it will affect the mental and emotional level of the students, leading to anxiety and worry. As a result, later those fears could become more dangerous by impacting the students to fear for even minor sicknesses like headache, body ache, stomach ache, or mild fever, or even an injection for that matter. Lately, many students are anxious and terrified about the fear of this current pandemic situation, the COVID-19. And as the students are also aware of the rising deaths in the world due to the pandemic, their fear in them would not subdue but rather turn out to become a key factor for increasing fear in them. In this case, instead of getting frightened of the pandemic, let us protect ourselves by increasing and developing our immunity. Now let's move on to the effects of fears in student life. Firstly, accept the fact that fears wouldn't let students to achieve the best they can potentially achieve. Secondly, fears affects and haunts a student's life on a daily basis. Thirdly, fears make students melancholic and unhealthy persons in their attitudes and behaviors towards life. And most of the students are emotionally balanced, and this is a very good sign, as these students can be of great help emotionally and mentally to give courage to those fellow students amongst them who are facing difficulties to lead a normal life with these dominant and predominant fears in them. Our concern here is to make sure to bring out the best in a student's life and make them achieve in what they are best at. Students with fears need to work over their fears one at a time in order to overcome the unnecessary fears they have developed from their young age. And it is not an impossible task in reality. Everything is possible for the one who has the willpower, determination, and confidence to face their fears and become successful and achieve whatever they are capable of. In connection with these thoughts, I reflect of a quote said by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the late former President of India. Don't fear for facing a failure in the first attempt, because even the successful maths starts with the number 0 and it's impossible for a willing heart. This is a very fascinating fact that I learned recently. The word impossible, when you split the word with the spelling I am possible, it actually means I am possible to do everything if I put my mind and heart into whatever I want to overcome or achieve. So let's learn few ways to overcome fear. First thing, find out and figure out what is the fear that is controlling you in your life. The second thing, find out trustworthy persons, preferably elderly people with whom you can openly share your fears. The third thing, share your fears with a person whomever you feel comfortable with, because it has a great healing power. By sharing your feelings with them, this will let your feelings out and our fears will be healed slowly by itself. Fourth, try to find out the root cause of your fears and try to uproot them. The fifth one, by taking guidelines from experts or the people who you trust can help you overcome these fears one at a time. The sixth, by boldly facing your fears itself, we will be able to overcome the fears rather than merely running away from them. Seventh, tell yourself you are stronger and in all ways it is possible for me to overcome my fears. The eighth, by forgiving those persons who are the reason or cause for you to acquire certain fears, you will be free from half of your fears. It is only by beginning to start forgiving them from your heart, all your feelings and emotions will be healed. The ninth, reading good knowledgeable books on how to overcome fears will help you in a great way to overcome your fears. So 3 words of wisdom. The first one, do not let fears control your life. Instead, you should have control over your fears and overcome them in your life. Second, do the best to face your fears, and you bet you will bloom the best and will be an example for many of them facing the similar fears you had faced and overcome victoriously. And the final thing, best one, believe you are the best and you are the best. Thank you.